We are talking about the situation with the Tennessee quarterback, specifically the lack thereof. Brother, we ain't got a quarterback, or at least it looks like we're going to have to ride with GMac, baby. I mean, that's basically what it has come down to. We're talking about the fact that Joey Aguilar, the decision has not been officially reached, and we have no news on Joey. And also, Austin, our targets in the transfer portal have committed elsewhere. Sam Levitt has gone to LSU and the Weasel, Lane Kiffin, and Bo Pribula went to Virginia. So, brother, it's looking like we're riding with GMac.
Yeah, if I had to put odds on it right now, I would say George McIntyre is the favorite to be the Tennessee starting quarterback in 2026. Despite some efforts in the transfer portal, like you said, I think part of the problem is, Blake, we got in a little bit late on some guys. Like a lot of guys committed within the first couple of days of the portal being open. And it's almost like we put all of our eggs in a few baskets, and it hasn't worked out so far. I will say, just quickly going over the Levitt situation, Levitt committed to LSU yesterday. Then apparently we made one final push to try to flip his commitment and one final offer. Listen, I don't understand why. I based on his attitude, based on coming off a major injury, which he won't even be ready for spring practice. And I don't think he's a very good player, Blake. He regressed from his really good season where they made the playoffs till last season. He was not much better at all. In fact, he got worse. I noted to you before we got on the show that last year when they played Mississippi State at Mississippi State, it was one of his worst games of the year. According to PFF, he had 0 big time throws and 3 turnover worthy plays. So honestly, I'm actually, and some fans may disagree with this, I'm relieved that we didn't get Sam Levitt. I don't think it was worth it at all. I don't think it was worth the $6 million price tag. And I just didn't like him as the starting quarterback for us next year. The bad news in this is the Joey news, right? We were all hoping that we'd get some good news on Joey and that Joey would be back. The judge basically just didn't even hear the case on when we thought he would, Blake, that we hinted he would. So that's got pushed back at least what I've heard is a couple weeks. Which the portal closes pretty soon. Within days.
3 days.
Yeah.
3
so
days,
exactly in 3 days. So we kind of need another option outside. We can't bank on Joey. We need a third quarterback on the roster. Right now, it is just George McIntyre and Brandon Faison next year. We're going to need a third guy no matter what. Our very backup option, Bro Pibula, like you said, committed as well to Virginia. So it's like, is there anyone left in the portal that we can get for at least some competition / depth for George McIntyre and Brandon Faison?
Faison Brandon.
Excuse me.
Am I? Yeah. I'm like, what in the world? What am I? Have I gotten it wrong the whole time? Faison Brandon.
You are correct.
So Faison Brandon and George McIntyre, are 2 quarterbacks right now, and we've talked extensively about the fact that Faison Brandon is going to be. He's a true freshman. It's just not. He might have all the talent in the world, and who knows? Maybe we do end up going with Faison Brandon and he shocks the world, but he's going to be a true freshman. And so it's not likely that he's going to be the best option out of the gate. So yeah, the Joey news is the most devastating for sure. I agree with you. And, Austin, it's kind of a complicated situation. So apparently the case itself is not going to be solved for a while, but as I understand it, what we were looking for yesterday on Monday was an injunction that the judge would grant, essentially kind of giving Joey kind of like a waiver almost to play for the year or play for the time being until the final, decision is reached. And as you noted, it was basically a nothing burger yesterday. We were kind of waiting for that shoe to drop. They met at 2:30 p.m. yesterday Eastern time, and essentially what came of it was that they just kind of kicked the ball down the road, as I understand it. And so, yeah, man, it's put us, in a terrible situation, at least in terms of having the depth. So, let's talk about what are our options? Let's say Joey Aguilar doesn't, let's say that situation, the worst case scenario happens and we don't have Joey for another year. Um, GMac, okay, but who is our depth piece on the quarterback roster? You mentioned a couple names to me before we got on, Austin, as possible options.
Yeah. So, if you're not going to get a starter, like if there's not a guy out there that maybe we'll tamper with, maybe we'll say, hey, like we're willing to pay Sam Levitt 6 million. Do you want 6 million to leave your school to come play here? If that doesn't happen,
Yeah.
which some fans are expecting it might, then I'm looking at a couple guys that know the system. Okay, for one, we'll start with the guy who just transferred out. Jake Merkslinger, okay? He doesn't have a home yet. He doesn't have a home. And I know he was looking to
Crazy.
go start somewhere, and he probably doesn't want to come back and be George McIntyre's backup or Faison Brandon's backup. However, it is an option. He knows the system. And then another option, Gas Pipe. Gaston Moore, okay, another guy that knows the system, okay, could potentially go get Gas Pipe, and because he already knows Hypo system and whatnot. Just a couple of guys that I've seen some fans throwing out, which are interesting. Again, those are depth pieces in my opinion. I think the reason Merklinger transferred out was because it's like, hey, you're not going to start here. Go try to find a starting job somewhere else. Um, and so yeah, we'll see. We'll see what the coaching staff thinks of GMac. That's an interesting conversation, Blake, because I think at the end of the day, it does worry me a little bit. It's like, okay, do they not believe in him, and is that why we're being so aggressive? But
Right.
the more I think about it, I'm sitting here thinking, well, it could just be we haven't seen him play, and they probably haven't seen him play that much because during the
Sure.
season, Joey Aguilar was getting the absolute majority of the first team reps, if not all of the first team reps during practice. So there's just not a lot of opportunity to see George McIntyre with the true ones. And on top of that, you haven't seen him actually play football. And then, as we kind of have been hinting at a little bit the last few shows, Blake, like this next year is critical for Heupel. So getting a proven starting quarterback is probably pretty important for him. He probably feels like the need to win next season. So he wants some insurance at quarterback instead of going for a young redshirt freshman who, again, people point out is still very slim. Haven't seen him play, so there's a lot of question marks there, and they probably just want kind of a sure thing for next season.
Yeah, exactly. You would rather have the known than the unknown. But Austin, you also talked to me about the fact that, what? If it's GMAC, baby, we ride, right? I
Yeah.
mean, he has the ability. We have noted how he has the ability, and so and I don't know. A lot of our fans are high on GMAC. They really want to see him, and they might be celebrating this news.
Yeah, listen, at the end of the day, Heupel has tried to build this football team through high school recruiting. And honestly, even when the portal was a thing, I believed that that was the best way to build your football team. It's still through high school recruiting and fill in gaps through the portal. Well, I think Kurt Signetti and Indiana have kind of just changed people's opinion on that a little bit, I think, Blake. And it's so tough to retain your young talent and let them develop on your roster these days. Everyone wants to go play quickly. So if a team comes at them and says, "Hey, I want you to start here," then all of a sudden the 4 or 5 star that you spent all this time trying to recruit and has spent a year or two in your system, all of a sudden you get absolutely no value out of that player, and they hit the portal. We've seen that with several of our guys this season. Well, I mean, GMac is right there. He's on the roster, right? He again was a high school recruit. He was a 4 star officially, Blake, but I keep reminding people was originally a 5 star until he could not play in the Elite 11. He had an injury and could not play. So he was one of the more higher rated quarterbacks in that recruiting class. So I do think he has the talent. That's why he had that high rating. Another aspect, Blake, and this is just an intangible thing that I love to look at. George McIntyre wanted to be a Tennessee Vol. Okay. He
Yes.
wanted to be a Tennessee
Yep.
Vol. I still remember his commitment video. It was purely Tennessee based. He's an East Tennessee kid. He loves the Vols. He always has. He went to Brentwood High School. It's like he's a kid that wanted to play for Tennessee his entire life. So that kind of means something to me. That kind of means something to me. And like, because you look at a guy like Nico, he clearly never wanted to be here. He didn't love the area or whatever. Like those things matter. I think those guys give a little bit more effort. So
Yeah.
I am intrigued by that with McIntyre. But at the end of the day, I think the issue here with the coaching staff is that they don't know how good he is. The fans really don't know how good he is. And can they
Yeah.
take that risk heading into 2026, which is now a critical season for Heupel?
Absolutely critical indeed. And, it of course rides on the quarterback. Quarterback's the most important position on the field, as you often note. So, man, whoever it is, I hope they're ready. Of course, it's still possible that we get good news with Joey Aguilar. It's possible. It's just as the days go by, it gets less and less likely that that's going to turn out in our favor with Joey Aguilar. So trying to prepare ourselves, but we're still hopeful, still praying that something comes through for Joey, and if it's not Joey, then finding a depth piece and riding with GMac. But I tell you one thing, Austin, man, adding fuel to the fire. LSU comes to
Oh,
Knoxville towards the end of the season. We were just talking before we started recording. That is a must-win game, brother. We have got to beat Sam Levitt and Lane Kiffin,
Again,
110%.
like you said, dude, it just adds fuel to the fire. Like we always want to beat Kiffin. We all remember 2021 when Ole Miss came to town and the refs absolutely stole the game from us. We haven't forgotten. We haven't forgotten what happened in 2021. That game was absolutely stolen from Tennessee. There's no question about it in my mind. And so, yes, the Sam Levitt situation just adds fuel to the fire. Like I say, I'm happy with Sam Levitt not coming here. I actually don't think he's the player that he was rated as in the transfer portal. I really just don't think that. And I think he was lifted up by a lot of really good talent at Arizona State that a lot of fans probably don't realize. One of which Cam Scatterboo, who's balling out in the NFL right now. But it does add fuel because it's like, okay, Kiffin comes in our turf in Knoxville to try to poach Sam Levitt during his visit, and it honestly, it really did seem like that was a little bit of a vendetta from Kiffin's part. Like he just has a thing for us, Blake. He just loves to think about Tennessee. He loves to get the attention of Tennessee fans. And
Yep.
man, I think we would all absolutely love to beat them down this year in Neyland. It's going to be a huge game. It's the second to last game of the season. Could have playoff implications on the line in that game. I would absolutely love that even more. Your boy will do everything I can to get into that stadium that day. And shoot, Blake, they might have to search me for the golf balls because I might be the one throwing it next time.
Well, listen, I'll just go ahead and say this, brother. God willing, I'm gonna be back in the States by that point, and I'm gonna be right there with you, brother. Pockets full of golf balls, ready
Mustard
to
bottles in
drill.
our jackets,
L-
like we're
I
gonna
tell you
find a
what,
way.
I don't care if it's mustard packets. I'll get them at the daggum concession stand.
Yeah.
We'll find a way. Hypel, you need to make it happen. We've got to beat LSU this year and Sam Levitt. So there you have it, folks. Sam Levitt has committed to Lane Kiffin, the Weasel, over at LSU. Bo Pribula has officially committed to Virginia. Joey Aguilar status still unknown. And so looking like we're going to ride with GMac, baby.